Welcome to Halacha Brura. My name is Rabbi Nachum Chaimowitz, and the topic for today is Hadlakas Neiros, Hadlakat Nerot. What type of substances can we use to form the candles that we're required to light? The great Jewish mystic, the Arizal, who lived approximately 400 years ago in an Israel town of Safad, once told his main disciple, Rabbi Chaimowitz, of blessed memories, an amazing statement that would give us tremendous strength in the fulfillment of our mitzvahs today. He said the following: Ki ein gedilas hanefesh, the greatness of a person's soul, tluya k'fi masa adam, is not determined just according to a person's acts. Rak k'fi hazman v'hadorahu, the greatness of a person's soul is determined according to his actions together with the reality of his generation. Ki masa koten ma'oid b'dor kazeh, because a small, almost tiny act in this generation, shokol kama mitzvahs gedolos shebedoros acherim, is equivalent to numerous great mitzvahs of the previous generations. The Arizal was teaching his main disciple a very important principle. God doesn't only look at our acts as secluded acts. He looks at them on the backdrop of our reality. And the harder that it gets to fulfill God's Torah and mitzvahs, the more of a reward, the more of a great act He considers it for us. Said the Arizal, in his time, because the times have gotten so difficult, because now it's so much more difficult to fulfill the mitzvahs than it was in previous generations, even a small act that a person does nowadays is equivalent to numerous great acts in previous generations. Remember that the Arizal lived approximately 400 years ago. What should we say today? Where the distractions we just look around are so great that we hardly have time to get focused, that we hardly have time to pay attention, that we have little time to learn and dedicate ourselves, as was common in previous generations. We tend to think our mitzvahs are probably much smaller in their importance than in previous generations. Came the Arizal, and he taught his disciple, in these difficult times, if you do even a tiny act sincerely, that is equivalent to very great acts and numerous acts of previous generations. And so therefore, nowadays, when we talk about such a small act, such as lighting the candles, Hadlakas Neiros before Shabbos, it seems so insignificant. How hard is it already to buy a candle and just light it? That small act, when done sincerely, carries with it immeasurable reward. Hashem views our act against the backdrop of our society. Hashem sees our difficulties and our challenges, and He rewards us and values it accordingly. And so therefore, this should give us a lot of impetus and encouragement to follow through even on the smallest of acts. We mentioned before, I know there might be listeners who are contemplating starting to fulfill mitzvahs. This mitzvah, lighting candles, is a great mitzvah to start with. Doesn't really bother anyone. It's not very costly, and just takes a few seconds. It might be a little more difficult in the winter Shabbos. Person has to get home from work on time, light before sundown. But if a person is there and ready to light the candles, it's an amazing mitzvah. Today, what we wanted to focus on was with what? What type of substances are we allowed to use as candles? And as an introduction to this, the first point that we wanted to say is contrary to what many people believe, that it's necessary to light 2 candles to fulfill the obligation. It's really only necessary to light 1. The obligation that the Sanhedrin instituted is fulfilled by lighting even 1 candle. True, it's a custom of Jewish people all over the world to light 2 candles. The reason we light 2 candles is one, to remind us of the positive commandments in regard to Shabbos, and one, to remind us of the negative restrictions. But that's custom. What's obligatory is only 1 candle. And so therefore, if a person finds themselves in a rush right before Shabbos, they check around and at the end, all they find is 1 candle in the house, they should still light that 1 candle. With 1 candle alone, a person fulfills their obligation. And so therefore, whatever we wanted to discuss going forward is how a person can fulfill, what materials can they use even for that 1 candle. The goal of this shiur is not to be lengthy, not to be complicated in giving over the halacha, but almost to give over bullet points, PowerPoints if you will, about how to fulfill the mitzvahs practically. And so therefore, the first point for today, what materials can we use for the candles? We have 3 different materials that are very common today. One is oil, olive oil. Oil, as you know, was commonly used throughout the generations as substance for lighting. Specifically, olive oil is quoted in the Medrash as being very unique, and already in the Mishnah as being very unique to light for Shabbos. The Medrash explains this is because of the significance that olive oil holds, in that it hints to Torah wisdom, and it also hints to the Jewish people. Take olive oil, says the Medrash, and mix it with any drink in the world. You'll notice that it always floats to the top. Olive oil represents the Jewish nation, also represents wisdom of Torah, and therefore has been accustomed throughout the generations to try and use olive oil to light with. My Rav writes explicitly in his responsa, the Shevet HaKahasi, that even if a person already fulfilled their obligation with different types of candles, as we'll see, a person could use wax, different types of candles, and they lit the required amount, there's still a custom among numerous Jewish people to actually light 2 candles of olive oil just to fulfill the custom of olive oil. Other materials we can light with, as we just mentioned, is wax. Wax, as you know, is a material that has been used for candles throughout the generations. What the rabbis from the Sanhedrin were looking for were materials that create a clear light, a beautiful light, a nice flame, not something that's going to flicker and cause us to feel irritated on Shabbos. Wax creates a beautiful flame. Another material that's very commonly used today is paraffin. What's manufactured commercially are generally paraffin candles. Paraffin candles come in a number of sizes. You have the long candles, you have tea lights, you have a yortzeit candle. Any one of these can be used, if necessary, to fulfill one's obligation of Adlakas Neiros. So here's the first point for today. What substances can we use for the actual candles? Olive oil, wax, paraffin. Second point for today is that, however, we have to be careful of what not to use. The first thing that we can't use is a candle that burns for too short of time. The minimal amount of time that a candle needs to burn in order to fulfill one's obligation is probably about an hour, and I'll explain quickly. When a person lights candles, the reason that the rabbis instituted it was in order that we should benefit from the candlelight on Shabbos. Since, as we learned, a person lights 18 minutes before sunset, the candles would have to last that whole 18 minutes and into the nighttime in order to give us the benefit of their light. That's approximately an hour of time. Even though Jewish people have the custom to accept Shabbos early in the summer days, so they accept Shabbos early and they even eat early so the candles don't really serve the purpose to light up the night, but it is required nonetheless that the candles last at least into the beginning of the Shabbos meal, which means that they need to last at least through Kiddush and Chaimowitz. So that being considered, if a person lights 18 minutes before sunset, and then afterwards, men go to daven, they go to pray at shul, until they come home, it's approximately an hour of time that the candles need to burn. And so therefore, if a person sees that they ran out of candles, one candle that they would not be able to use is a Hanukkah candle. The Hanukkah candles that are commercially manufactured are generally made to last approximately a half an hour. A half an hour would not be enough time. Were a person to light a Hanukkah candle instead of a Shabbos candle, they would not have fulfilled their obligation of getting benefit from the candle on Shabbos. It doesn't burn until the required time. The second candle that a person would not be able to use is a Havdalah candle. The reason for this is because the Gemara, the Talmud, defines a candle as being a candle of a single wick. It has to have only one wick. That's what's called a candle. So all the candles that we light for Shabbos will always have one wick. In contrast to this is the Havdalah candle, that the Havdalah candle needs specifically to be a torch. It really needs to have what's called two wicks, an avuka. Two wicks create a torch, and by Havdalah, you'll notice every Havdalah candle has always at least two wicks. Even if a person doesn't have a two-wicked candle, he could take two matches and put them together, or two candles and put them together. He must have an avuka by Havdalah. So again, it has to be a single-wicked candle for lighting candles on Erev Shabbos. A Havdalah candle has two wicks. And so therefore, if a person ran out of candles, they could not use a Havdalah candle. So to sum up the second point, we can use all the various types of candles, tea lights, regular candles, even a Yortzeit candle, but we cannot use a Hanukkah candle or a Havdalah candle to fulfill our obligation when lighting the candles before Shabbos enters. The third point that we wanted to get to today is probably the most practical for us nowadays, is the advent of electrical light. Most of our light today is from electrical lighting. So the question becomes, can one fulfill their obligation of lighting Shabbos candles through electrical light? For example, it comes before Shabbos, someone goes up to the light, says, L'koved Shabbos, this should be for the sake of Shabbos, hits the switch, and maybe that should be considered like lighting candles. The great halachic leaders of the previous generation dealt with this, and will cite two well-known opinions. Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, of blessed memory, studied extensively how electricity works, and specifically what we'll talk about now is fluorescent lighting. And what he found is that fluorescent technology produces a new light every millisecond. And he felt that one could not use electric and fluorescent light to light before Shabbos comes in. Why is that? Because generally when we make a blessing on something that's going to take place. We're supposed to blow shofar, we make the blessing, we blow shofar. We're supposed to read the Megillah, we make the blessing, we read the Megillah. By Shabbos, as hopefully we'll learn, the process is inverted. First, a woman lights candles, and then she makes the bracha. So if a woman were to use fluorescent lights, that means she'd go up to the light, hit the switch, and a few seconds later make the bracha on the previous light that she just lit. Says Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, but that previous light is not here anymore. It's not in the world. Because every millisecond there comes about a different light. So we wouldn't be able to use that light that was lit, or any light that's lit at any specific second, because it's constantly fleeting. So it is the consensus of all the poskim that fluorescent lights or fluorescent-based lights could never be used as a fulfillment of the obligation of Adlakas Neiros. However, in contrast to this, there are other types of lights known as an incandescent bulb. The way that an incandescent bulb works is that it has a piece of filament inside of it, and when the electricity runs through the filament, it lights it up to such an intense heat that it actually causes light. The opinion of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, of blessed memory, was that a person could use incandescent light to fulfill their obligation of adlakas neiros. And so therefore, in case of need, if a person really doesn't have anything to light, they can go to an incandescent bulb that has filament, say Lekavet Shabbos, hit the switch, and they would fulfill their one light for adlakas neiros before Shabbos. However, says Rabbi Feinstein, that nonetheless a person should not make a blessing on this. We don't make the bracha. We don't recite the bracha on lighting electric lights. His reasoning is because the Sanhedrin originally instituted to light candlelight, to light a certain type of fire, and because it's not the same type of fire and electricity, we wouldn't make a bracha. But essentially, a person could be yotze. And therefore, it's important to know that in extenuating circumstances, for example, if a woman is located in a hospital and she's in bed, she can't get out of bed, and hospital regulations don't allow her to light candles next to her bed, it is possible to acquire a small lamp with an incandescent bulb, and she could say Lekavet Shabbos, turn on the switch, and have in mind to fulfill her obligation of adlakas neiros. She wouldn't make a blessing, but she would be able to daven to Hashem at that time, and her mitzvah would be accepted as having fulfilled her obligation to light candles before Shabbos. So again, to go over the 3 points that we learned today, what type of materials can we use for candles? The first point is olive oil, wax, paraffin candles, totally acceptable. They create beautiful light. Second point, a person should not use, even if they don't have any other candles, Hanukkah candle or Havdalah candle. That cannot be used before Shabbos or Yom Tov to fulfill one's obligation of adlakas neiros. Third point is, in regard to electrical light, any fluorescent light or fluorescent-based light would not fulfill the obligation of lighting candles. Any incandescent light, namely a light that has filament in it, or a halogen lamp, would fulfill the obligation of adlakas neiros before Shabbos. However, we wouldn't make a bracha on it. A good word of practical advice in regard to these halachas is that a person should try to check earlier on in the week that they have enough supplies for the candles that they need before Shabbos. To make sure, if they're lighting oil, they have the wicks. If they're lighting candles, they have the right number of candles. They have candles at home. So as not to go under pressure and not to come to a place right before Shabbos to miss out on fulfilling this amazing mitzvah. May God help, and in the merit of us fulfilling this mitzvah in the proper way, in the proper time, with the proper intent, even though it's seemingly a very small act, may that act be worth immeasurable merit to Hashem in our days, and may it speedily bring about the redemption quickly in our days